Hey guys, it's Full Cards here, live and direct from Brooklyn, New York. And today I have a box of 2013-14 AHL. I'm a very big proponent of low-end products for various reasons, mostly because you can share the hobby with kids and so on. The AHL is always interesting because the checklist is an AHL checklist, which is a little bit of a variation. This particular box has the entire base set of 100 cards. Back in 13-14, that's essentially what they had. And then on top of that, you're able to get autos. In subsequent years, you had 5 autos or 3 autos, but you also had insert cards that were logos, team logos, and stickers, logos, and even manufactured patches and so on. But this is sort of a very simple year, 100 cards plus your autos. And in terms of autos, you'd be looking for players who ultimately made the NHL or ones who are prospects that you'd be interested in. So Martin Jones actually would be in 2013-14. Not a great checklist. You definitely get Ty Ratty. You could get Victor Rask. You can get Mike Hoffman. If you're a Habs fan, you might look for Louis LeBlanc if you're interested in that, or Dustin Tokarski, or actually Nate Beaulieu would probably be in here. But let's open it up. So what you get 100 cards, and I think you get 100 cards in a sort of disorganized fashion. So, but the entire base set would be in here. I'm a proponent of this product, particularly for later years and recent years when you actually have some patches in there and some other stuff. Here we have a seal of disapproval, so we will snap this bad boy off. And we will pluck this open, and you can see that there's a chunk of cards in there. So let's try to get it out. Compare this to, like, you know, a Premier tin or some other form of the cup tin. This is just papery. But that's what you get for 12-15 bucks. So here would be basically the entire set and plus a few autos. So we're just hoping that some of the autos would be at least NHL prospects as opposed to not necessarily something super high end. I think Philip Grabauer would be another one you could get. Calvin Pickard, who you might know from Between the Pipes. There's a few others that you could potentially get and know. Even Zach Boychuk, I think, would be another one. So if we look at the cards themselves, they're very simple cards. They are Upper Deck. You have the Upper Deck emblem on the top right. It's a pretty clean look with a sort of silver foil on the bottom. And then the back, again, fairly clean. And you get Shane Prince to start us off. Who would be a prospect, but I'll go through them fairly quickly. Some of these might be stuck, unfortunately. So there's Mike Hoffman's card. You're guaranteed it if you open the box because the entire 100 base set is in here. So you would get every bit. There's Jack. There's Keith Kincaid. He'd ideally be a good auto. I don't know if his auto is available. We'll see. There's Nick Cousins. A lot of these guys are fairly well known. There's Marcus Granlund. There's Anders Lee. And we see them with their initial. There's Tokarski with, I guess that would be Hamilton, the Bulldogs, who did have a stint in the NHL. I believe he was drafted. Wasn't he drafted by the Bolts? But he certainly played the NHL, and he actually had a stint in the playoffs against the Rangers when Carey Price was knocked out by Chris Kreider, Cedric Paquette. So a lot of these guys are actually fairly well known at this point, and one of the reasons these prospects are known is it's 2013-14. So it's a good 4 or 5 years ago at this point. So we're just going through what we're seeing here. There's Martin Jones. So this is Martin Jones prior to making the NHL. And we can see here he is, Monarchs. And definitely a decent prospect for obvious reasons. There's Louis LeBlanc, who did not pan out that well, but nonetheless, there was a lot. In Quebec, they always have this whole thing. They don't know whether or not to draft a Quebecois or not, depending on. They should have drafted Denis Savard back in the day, and they didn't. So I think in some ways they're still making up for that non-draft. There's Victor Rask. There's Mark Byzantine, who you will see in a lot of products as well. You'll see him in the Between the Pipes, in other products, and ITG products, I believe. There's Jesper Fast, who made the Rangers. So if we look at the back of these should all potentially, probably, theoretically be 1 through 100. Because I think that's all they had. I don't even think they had short prints running from 101 to 150, which they did in the next year, which is when they had Malcolm Subban and a couple of other well-known quantities. There's Derek Forberg, who of course played with the LA Kings. There's John Gibson. So we see a lot of fairly well-known names. In the back at the bottom, you see there's some gold rim cards, and I believe those would be the autos. These are actually really stuck together, so that's the other thing about these, because they're sort of hermetically sealed in the plastic. There's Tomas Jurco. There's Colton Sissons, who I believe would be with Nashville, unless I'm mistaken. There's Brandon Yip. There's Max Reinhardt. So we see Calvin Pickard, another goaltending prospect who you see in other products. There's Palishaj. There's Jake Allen. So there's Jake Allen with the Chicago Wolves. So that's basically it. This is the set. So you get the entire set. You can put it in a binder. They're low end. It's a good way to sort of, if you're a big fan of the game and you keep track of prospects and future players and so on, it would be a nice thing. There's Ty Ratty, who of course shown a few flashes on the oil thus far. And okay, so here are our autos. So I opened one other box of these, and I can show you those autos as well. So we got Scott Mayfield. And there's people yelling outside. They're doing brickwork. And we have Ty Ratty. So that's a really good one to get, the Ty Ratty, because he is a full-blown NHLer. Not only that, he's on a team that could potentially win a cup at some point. And at times, I think he has played on a line with McD, etc. And there's Freddie Hamilton. Let's see who else we get here. There's Aaron Palishaj. And our last one is Danny Cristo. So these are our autos, guys. They're actually decent autos as far as these go. As I said, you could potentially get a Dustin Tokarski or a couple of others that you may or may not know. I have their rookie card, so I'm not too excited about getting another one of a Nate Beaulieu and so on, because I have their autos. But we got a Freddie Hamilton, a Ty Ratty, which is a great one to get for 2013. We got Scott Mayfield. We got Aaron Palishaj, another decent one to get. And then finally we got Danny Cristo. And you see that the cards, they're not really dinged. They're just, if you look at the corners, they're just sort of bent up just a tad because the hermetically sealed plastic really sort of cakes them in tight. But these are low-end auto rookies, or they're not even rookies, they're prospects. So I wouldn't really worry about, it's not as if you send these out to PSA to get graded. They're probably only worth $1 or $2 a card. But they're nice ones to have. It's nice one to have the set and to round out the set with a couple of autos. And what's good about it is to actually get some actual prospects who made the NHL. So I would be Fulton Cards, who just opened up a box of the 2013-14 AHL hockey set and where am I? It's Fulton Cards, live and direct from Brooklyn, New York.